morning, everyone. Aloha kapahiaka, and welcome to Living in Hawaii. I am Misty Padilla of Kailua Kona, born and raised here, and I have the privilege of speaking with Summer and Linda. Welcome, ladies. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Go ahead and share with us where you are from, originally from, and exactly where in Hawaii that you're representing at this time. We'll start with you, Summer.
I am originally from Northern California. I started planning my move here in 2022 and currently residing on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Beautiful. Where on the Big Island are you?
South, so I'm actually in Ocean View.
Very nice. Big Island, also Hawaii Island is the formal, proper way to say it now, right? We've all been raised Big Island. It's always been Big Island. And you know how place names and things change and evolve over time. So thank you for joining us. I am in Kona, so you're like, what, 2 hours away from me?
About an hour and a half. Yeah,
well,
a little far.
How about you, Linda? Where are you calling from this morning?
I am on the island of Oahu, and I moved from Northern California, also the South Bay, almost 30 years ago.
Beautiful. And where on Oahu are you?
I'm right above Pearl Harbor, so from my window I can see Diamond Head and the whole south shore of Oahu.
Very nice. Beautiful. For those of you joining us, welcome once again. livinginhawaii.com. We would love to be your trusted resource for all things local. Today, we are going to talk about the truth on job hunting here in Hawaii. Ladies, can you just, I'm trying to find the right words for it because it's such a big topic here. Where do we even start? We know Hawaii, first and foremost, is known to be very, very pricey. You know, we definitely pay the price to be in paradise. Linda, let's go ahead and start with your relocation. And how did you go about with trying to find the right job or the right fit for you as you were navigating moving to Hawaii?
Yeah, so my journey started almost 30 years ago. So that was before the internet, really. So at the time I was sharing that I was faxing and snail mailing my resume. And so what I did before, and I was trying to find a teaching job. And so I made a trip out to Hawaii, just exploratory. And I made appointments and I went to see some of the schools that I thought I'd like to work at. And I just said, I'm planning to move here and I just wanted to see what your school was like and, and chatted them up and so that they saw me face to face. And then when I actually applied for a job, and a lot of times they didn't even have a job opening, but I sent my resume anyway, and I attached my photo to it because in the day there was no internet or anything like that. So then they remembered, oh, she came and visited the school and this was the girl, and it's like, okay, we'll hire. So I had a job before I actually moved to Hawaii.
Very good. And, a lot of people, when we ask why do you choose Hawaii? Majority of the time it is a job, jobs have already been in place prior to relocating. But for many as well, they move for location, change of scenery, environment, you name it. Summer, why did you choose Hawaii to relocate to?
I chose Hawaii actually because I have an auntie back in Northern California that had a house here and had asked that I would help manage it. So that was one of the roles that I moved here for. I've worked in healthcare for well over 12 years. And so when I first got here, I applied, and I'm actually a dual career agent. So I do work locally at a hospital and in real estate. And I was mentioning earlier that it took me 6 months to get that job at the hospital. Even though I'd had 10 years of experience, it was a pretty lengthy process. And so what I did is I actually went ahead and got a bridge job in the meantime in hospitality. So that was a way for me to learn the island. I actually sold helicopter tours and snorkeling trips. And so while I didn't know or hadn't experienced all these, it gave me a good insight into, what opportunities as far as from a tourism side there was until I could get into that next role.
That's amazing. And yes, I do see you at the hospital most of the times with my children. Of course, I did not mention I am a mommy of a big blended family of 10 children. And yes, thank you, Summer, for all of your assistance and help that you do at the hospital.
And I never want to see anyone there, but
like I swear all of my kids have been there. But let's talk about that, Summer. You just mentioned that you had a bridge job and you went into hospitality. I myself come from the hospitality background. And to me, that is just one of the most amazing jobs that you can, definitely land in Hawaii. Is for one, you'll learn about the island the best and quickest way, just by surrounding yourself in the hospitality industry. Go ahead and share with share with us what made you go that route to bridge, to bridge the gap until you got your job at the hospital.
I sent in so many applications. I applied at Costco. I applied anywhere and everywhere that I possibly could. And they were the ones that gave me the opportunity. So really, I do have a bachelor's degree in recreation. So I have a bit of a background there. But it's not something I'd ever worked in before. Like I said, I came from healthcare, and it was just the opportunity that I was afforded, and so I took it. And it, like I said, it gave me a great experience and what the island has to offer, and share with tourists and locals alike.
Very nice. And key word you made mention is opportunity. There's so much opportunity here in the islands. You just need to do your due diligence and just do your research and take a stab at it. You'll never know where you land and what you'll come across and all the blessings that will come from it. Linda, how about for you, dear? Where were the first go-to places that you looked, when trying to research for a job?
So again, this was before the internet, so I just had to talk to people and ask around. I did have in-laws who lived here, and so I would just ask them what schools are around where you live, because we were planning to live with them until we could establish our own home. So getting a job here in Hawaii, a lot of it is who you know, relationships. Even though we have 1 million people plus here on Oahu, everybody knows somebody one way or another. So you have to be careful how you talk about people and things like that. You'll find that out very soon. But just dropping, I'm looking for a job, or just those nuggets with everybody that you meet and come in contact with. That's really huge. It's not a secret thing. You need to let everybody know I'm looking for a job. So now with the internet, maybe even Facebook, Instagram, hey, I'm going to be moving. Anyone know a job in this realm, and somebody might know somebody. And so that's a way for them to really network and get to know different occupations, I think.
And the key word you just touched on was pre-internet days. I am in awe of that. I can imagine. I can definitely take myself back to those days. And the way we would find jobs pre-internet days was by way of newspaper, yes. And of course, word of mouth. Yes. We live on the big island, yet it's such a small world. And word of mouth is definitely, if you notice, a lot of people will spread bad news more than they spread good news. So you definitely want to make sure you have a great reputation, because anything bad that comes against you in any of your jobs, that will carry you to the next, to the next, to the next. We live on an island, right? Or the Coconut Wireless. I'm sure you're familiar with.
And do not burn your bridges.
Right. That is so true. You cannot burn your bridges, as we navigate job hunting in Hawaii, because trust me, yes, we will find out. And I've had many jobs, like I mentioned, in the hospitality industry. And one of my most fun, unique jobs that I've had was bail bonds. My husband is a bounty hunter for Dog the Bounty Hunter, and I would write bail bonds. And so the other side to that is I was also a professional hula dancer in the entertainment world. So it's like I have, the fun, fluffy beauty of paradise, and then switching over to bounty hunting, chasing fugitives and getting people out of jail, So it's like, and by way of that was all by word of mouth, all of the jobs, that I've had prior, besides having to search the newspaper when I was much younger and looking for jobs there, was all by word of mouth. And that by far has just led, to bigger and better things. So Linda, that is significant, is do not burn your bridges, because trust me, those words, Coconut Wireless goes a long way. Summer, share with me of the jobs that you've had here in Hawaii. What would be your most rewarding job that you are just utmost grateful for?
I think it's really a combination. Like I'm so grateful for my job at the hospital. It really, puts life into perspective. And I think that kind of parlays into real estate, where I was mentioning to Linda earlier that, real estate can be a little hectic and wild. And I feel like that role prepared me for real estate. And so I'm super grateful for both, really. And it's taken some time on how to be able to navigate.
That's beautiful. And the fact that we get to work remotely is, agree with me, is being able to work remotely on our island. Yes, we do have some areas that hinder you from working remotely. So you definitely want to navigate those areas depending on what your needs are, right? You want to be placed in an area that you can function to the best of your ability. Linda, how about for you? Now with technology, now we're going to fast forward. With technology, where would you best recommend if anyone wants to relocate to Hawaii and looking for a job? What are your trusted resources that you would like to share?
Since I was in education, of course, the state DOE website does have job postings. And they apparently do hire without you being here. If you want to work in a private school, the organization is HAIS.us, and that's the Hawaii Association of Independent Schools. And they have a job board there, so check it all the time. And then you can also check each of the schools' website. They have their own website. Some of the bigger schools don't advertise on HAIS, and so you check their website and look for their jobs and check all the time, especially in the springtime. This is for the education timeline. In the spring, when teachers are saying they're not going to come back or whatever, jobs come up then. So keep checking. So I would definitely, go to these organizations first. And then of course, there's monster.com and all those other places. But, and I think the newspaper works through monster.com also, or Indeed. Those are jobs search places. If you're already here on the island, my suggestion is to go to your library, because your librarians are information specialists, and they can help you, find good sources for jobs too. But again, I think a lot of it is just getting the word out. And so Facebook, Instagram, I don't know about TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I'm too old, but I'm sure those kinds of things will garner you some leads also.
You are definitely not too old for TikTok. And yes, those platforms are great resources, to be able to explore so that you can find the right fit. Summer, anything that you would like to add on as far as resources go? Anything else that you'd like to share that we may have missed?
Sure, great question. Things like WeWork, also joining Facebook groups. That's also a good way to connect. I actually had a client yesterday, and I met with him, and he has moved over here for 30 days. He's like, I'm here. I'm with friends for 30 days to find a job. I've got a local Hawaii address, and he's dedicated to the craft of getting a job while he's here before he brings over his family. So I thought that was really smart of him to do that. There's also opportunities from a living standpoint. Airbnb, Furnish Finders, they'll offer short-term housing until you can, find that right fit and secure housing. So that was smart. Also, my son, he brought his remote job here with him. So he actually negotiated with his employer to be able to come here, work remote, as long as he goes back to the mainland 1 week a month. And so that was something he was able to navigate, and it's worked out really well. He goes back to Portland, Oregon 1 week, attends a meeting. He's a project manager for a solar company. And so I hadn't thought about that as being an option, but if your current employer is willing to negotiate something, you may be able to move here and work remotely.
So true. And, I've worked in human resources prior to real estate and all the things. I've also worked in human resources for years, and I absolutely love that role. And yes, when you have amazing employees as an employer, you will totally do whatever it takes to keep that employee. So yes, negotiate terms, talk about it, be realistic. Again, shoot for the stars, because if you are worth and valued that much, for employers to keep you around, they will definitely do whatever it takes to keep you happy, because it's so hard to find great workers these days. If you can agree with me, ladies, right? Isn't it so tough finding people that are committed? I swear this is a whole new generation that I see and that we're dealing with these days. And again, going back to human resources is, yes, like Linda mentioned, you have to have great resources. That is just key, in being able to secure a job here in Hawaii, is have amazing resources. And then, of course, we cannot forget our law of aloha. You have to come with aloha. Do unto others, as you want for them to do unto you. That is the golden rule that we live by, is all the fruits of the spirits, akahai, lokahi, olu olu, ha'aha, aho nui, the patience, the unity, the pleasantness, all these things. We have to always make sure that we come with aloha. I know you folks agree with me there, right?
Yes.
Linda, on Oahu, and Summer can help speak into this as well, as here on Hawaii Island, and I've noticed this maybe in the last 3 years, a lot of our businesses are shutting down. Lots of small businesses don't make it. It is very pricey here in Hawaii. But at the same time, a lot of our big stores are starting to close early because there is a shortage of workers. Do you folks have that problem on Oahu as well?
No, I haven't found that the hours are being shortened for any of the big stores. And yeah, you're right. The smaller mom and pops, some of them are going out, or some of them that have been in business for generation. There's nobody to take over afterwards. They don't want those kinds of jobs. So that's unfortunate, but it's hard to find especially good wait staff. Yeah. I've noticed that. So if you can't find a job, go into being a wait staff, because everyone's short-handed there. You just have to be willing to do the grunt work while you're finding your career or whatever, if you're moving here without a job. So I think there's a lot of those types of jobs, and you just have to be willing to do it. But again, they don't make a lot of money, and so you might not be able to rent an Airbnb for a month on those salaries. So you have to come with money already in the bank, I think, for you to be able to make it through the 3 to 6 months for summer, to get a full-time career job. So I was very fortunate, didn't have to do that. But I think like healthcare, typically healthcare, education, maybe the hospitality as far as restaurants and stuff, you might be able to find a job pretty quickly. But if it's something a little bit more specialized or anything like that, we might have a harder time.
For sure. You were spot on for all those topics that you just discussed. It's definitely a challenge if you're not prepared. And then you kind of go back to COVID. COVID just kind of took us for an entire, it was just a world changing experience for all of us. So again, consider the jobs that you're going into. If we were to ever have another global shutdown once again, will you be able to sustain living here in Hawaii? And yes, cost of living is so high. I'm just for single occupancy. You're looking at minimum, $1,500 for a studio, just bare minimum. For families, single family homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, again, minimum $4,500, I think right now, again, depending on location.
Sure.
And childcare, right? Childcare is just, I don't like to say so expensive, because our kids are supposed to be, our most treasured thing that you can't put a price to it. But at the same time, it's very pricey childcare for husbands and wives, or families. It's really tough it's really tough to get by if you folks don't have secure jobs here in Hawaii, right, ladies? Once again, I know you agree there. Linda, you made mention on something. Now I'm trying to recall what it was because I wanted to circle back on it. Well, we'll come back to it again. Summer, right now, with Linda, making mention on how Oahu is down south. Do you see, or tell us what down south, jobs wise, would be most beneficial? What do you see the need for in your area as far as jobs go? Is there a need for a certain job category in your area?
Honestly, I think down here in Ocean View, the majority of everyone commutes into Kona. I mean, realistically, that's where the bulk of the jobs are, especially in hospitality. So a good majority. I mean, there's a couple grocery stores, a few businesses. So there's really not a lot of opportunity down here. Most of those jobs are already taken. So from what I see, it's either work remote or travel into town, which is a commitment. I mean, that's a 3-hour commitment to travel in and back every day, and many of us do it.
Let's talk about that because we do have on Hawaii Island just one road that goes around the entire island. And Summer, key point right there is commuting and transportation. It does take much time on our island to navigate. And so, yeah, you definitely want to go ahead and choose your jobs that's going to be best fit for transportation and timing. We spend hours upon hours on the road. Linda, go ahead and share with us on the Oahu traffic and commuting to certain jobs throughout the island.
We do have 3 highways, but when it gets backed up, it's backed up. And sometimes it comes to a standstill, especially if you live up on a ridge. There's only one way in or one way out. And once that closes, you're not getting out. Sort of like Lahaina, unfortunately, there's just certain ways in and out. And so if there's traffic, yeah, you're sitting in it for a long time. But yeah, an hour and a half, I don't know if I would do that.
It's a beautiful drive.
It's a beautiful drive, again, depending on where you are. But at the same time, yes, our traffic on Hawaii Island is very different than traffic elsewhere.
Yeah.
And of course, reminding everyone, yes, when you commute, drive with aloha because there's just multiple accidents, numerous, infinite amount of accidents that occur daily on our roads. And they're very unfortunate. And majority of them are due to speeding, or of course, alcohol, being on your phone, all these factors, that play a role is, yes, always just drive with aloha. We all want to get to our job and live life to the best of our ability. So again, all these things, just take preparation, right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
So of all the jobs you've had, what was your most unique or fun job that you'd like to share with us? Summer, you go first.
I would have to say the job over at Royal Kona when I first moved here. Here I'm selling helicopter tours that I've never been on, snorkeling tours that I haven't experienced, and so just having to fake it till you make it, I guess. I did subsequently get to go on a helicopter ride because of that job, so it did afford me those experiences. But it was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed it and got to meet a lot of amazing tourists and locals alike. And so, yeah, I would say that was the most fun.
That's so funny. You made mention of helicopter. I think we spoke about this on another show previously. I am deathly afraid to go on helicopters. And I worked at the Four Seasons concierge for the homeowners. And so, of course, we need to be knowledgeable of the island. We're over here selling packages for helicopter tours, airplanes, all the things. And for the life of me, I couldn't sell it because I needed to experience it. And then I didn't want to experience it because I was so afraid. So I went on a helicopter tour, you guys. This is how crazy it was. I took all my kids with me because I was I can't go on this helicopter tour by myself. I'm taking my kids with me, right? And of course, my dad was like, you could have at least left one kid behind, come on. But I must say, it was the most beautiful experience, born and raised Hawaiian girl here, it was just such a beautiful, humbling experience. It was just amazing. And I just take for granted of how beautiful and how lucky we really are to live in Hawaii, and seeing the beauty of our island, at an aerial view. I was just mesmerized. I cried. And I was like, would I go on a helicopter again? No, but
I was so scared, but it was so still and calming when we were up here. I was really surprised at how still, and I just was not expecting that. Really, I wasn't.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
And I mean, down to where I was telling the pilot, like, can you fly closer to the ground? It's one of those things I tell myself, you know what, we got to just overcome that fear. I'm like, trust the Lord is with us. But I'm like, it's so scary, but it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, which takes me to, yes, one of my most rewarding job opportunities was working at the Four Seasons for the homeowners. And of course, writing bail bonds. And now, of course, in real estate, I just absolutely love. Linda, you're making me laugh here.
It's so funny.
Who would have ever
Wonderful.
And to this day, I'm not licensed, but we still have connections. So yes, trust me, all the time, weekly, we get calls to bail people out of jail, and we do that very lovingly and graciously. And then, of course, right now with real estate, I absolutely love my job. I get to do all these things and be able to stay home and enjoy the beauty of our island and just enjoy time. So yes, I am very grateful for my real estate job. And then, of course, hula, that is just my passion. I love doing all the things. Every single job that I've had in my entire lifetime, it definitely served my passion. And I just love that. And that's key to me is, you got to find something that you love doing, because you're going to end up doing it more from your heart. And to me, it's just never been about the money. The money is the icing on the cake, because that affords you to do all these things with your family. But to me, it was more the time and how it made my heart feel. If it makes you feel good at the end of the day, I know I'm in the right place. So I'm hoping that you folks feel the same. Linda, share with us what your most rewarding or unique job experience.
Well, the most unique would probably be when I worked at Jenny Craig.
I love it.
I don't know if you guys know what Jenny Craig is, but she's it's like Weight Watchers, and they have prepackaged foods, and so you answer the phone with a script, and this was over 30 years ago, and the fact that there were scripts, and you answer the phone, and I wasn't there very long. All other jobs have been pretty standard, run of the mill. Worked in libraries and then teaching and then administration, but God has really blessed me with this job in real estate, because as I was telling Summer, I'm taking care of my parents who we live with, and they're in their 90s. And, real estate has afforded me the ability to do that. And it was, now that I look back on it, it was a godsend. So I really, really enjoy doing real estate. I enjoy the independence of it also, and the ability for me just to be at home with my parents for this season of their lives. So
that's so beautiful. I love how you say the season of their life, and that's what this is. As we all go through different seasons, and just being able, to me, is you're blessed to be a blessing. And I always come in with that mindset is, what can I do to serve you, and at the same time, bring that quality of life, back to myself and my family. And to me, that's just the most rewarding thing ever. And I'm so grateful for all of that.
And I think, talking about employment and jobs, I think are going to be a lot more jobs in elder care. Because our population is just getting older. People need to do that. But again, it's a messy job that people don't like to do. But, if you're willing to do those kind of menial grunt kind of work, it's such a blessing for the recipient that I think you'll be blessed too. So that's another area to look into. If you don't want to be waiting tables, is to have that interaction with our kupuna and just to lend a helping hand in that area.
You are absolutely right, Linda. And that's going to bring me to this topic that I would love to share is, yes, certainly being able to be a blessing to our kupuna, that is much needed. I definitely feel that And it's just the great big circle of life, being able to service our kupuna. And at the same time, there is a need for childcare, so for anyone that feels a call on their heart that, come and do childcare, we need that definitely on our island. And I'm sure all the other islands.
Yes.
My daughter's going to be having a baby within the next few weeks. And I can't even imagine her having to hunt for a childcare provider in Las Vegas. I'd be like, oh, no ways. You move home. We're going to take care of you and the baby here at home. Or we're just going to go and travel there all the time. It's just, I can't even imagine that, but there is such a need for the kupuna, for the infants and children. And then our other line of duty, I'm going to be sharing with you all the jobs that we do. But my husband and I, we also have a security company. And by far, that has been a very challenging job, but it's also opportunity for us to reach the lost, reach the community. It's very risky without the benefits of being a police officer or a firefighter. But at the same time, just being in that line of duty, we need homeless shelters. So that's another job opportunity. If anyone has that, I know Oahu needs it for sure. Hawaii Island needs it, but we need those opportunities. If anyone would like to open a homeless shelter, I think by far that would create so much job opportunities as well.
We need police officers too.
That too, and there's great benefits, there's great pay, but there's such a shortage on all the things that we definitely need to make the community better and to keep Hawaii. Summer, any jobs out there that you see that could definitely benefit our island or encourage our viewers to maybe dabble into new careers and open up something? What do you see there's a need for?
We're always hiring at the hospital if anyone's interested in patient access in the ER. And I mean it. So, yeah, healthcare, there's just such a shortage. And, I think what it comes down to is, that's a nights, weekends, 24/7 shift job. And it's really hard if you're, a mother or a caretaker for kupuna at home. It's really difficult to be able to be, on call and available for nights, weekends, days. It's not for everybody. It's a challenge. Yeah.
Even in the education system, we need teachers, Yeah, these are just trying times in the world. So yes, most definitely. There's so much opportunity, everyone. There's just no shortage, no shortage of not being able to, find a job. There's so much opportunity. You just got to go out there and find it.
Sure.
Yeah. If you're thinking though of coming here and receiving mainland salaries and work environments, it's probably not going to happen. There is a cost to living in paradise, and part of that is a lot of times the salaries do not stay on the par with what's they're being offered in the mainland, which you would think we would get more living in such a high, cost of living place, but it's not true. So don't come here thinking you're going to have a cush Google kind of work environment where they provide you with all your snacks and, workout equipment and blah, blah, blah. That ain't happening here. But, if you want to be able to live here in paradise, with a community that for the most part is loving, the aloha, and just a diverse cultural kind of place, this is the place for you. So there's going to be some give and take. So don't think you can get your mainland job here.
Very good. Very true. I love that. Summer, any last closing thoughts that you'd like to share that you'd like to enhance what Linda just said?
Sure. One thing I actually just thought about was, the opportunity for things like Uber, Lyft, Postmates, Turo. So there are opportunities that you can come on over with, a vehicle and maybe even start your own, career and be an entrepreneur. Those are some things that I, would share, that there are possibilities there as well, as far as on the transportation side. So.
Get creative, right?
Exactly.
Very
and
nice.
I'm super grateful for, just in a closing, I'm super grateful for our team for embracing someone that's not only new to the island, but new to real estate. It's afforded me the opportunity to help, others who are following in the same path to move here and help them find great neighborhoods and neighbors. And like I said, I'm always learning. Like my client yesterday, I thought, wow, what a fantastic idea. Move here for 30 days and find a job. So, we're always learning, right?
Right, for sure. And
for when I meet along the way.
Like you had mentioned, Summer, it's because of your heart. You came with aloha. So in turn, the island, the culture will in turn take care of you. And that's just key, is we embrace all those things. It's what you give out is what you receive. So thank you, for being a huge contribution to our island and of course our culture. Both of you ladies, I'm blessed to have you as well. So thank you. Beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please visit livinginhawaii.com. Continue to reach out to us. We'd love to be your trusted resource for all things local. Thank you once again for joining us and continue to live aloha daily. Have a great day, everyone. Aloha.
Bye.